National Assembly's plenary resumption rescheduled from Tuesday, 28th January 2025 to Tuesday, 4th February 2025 to allow for the completion of ongoing budget defense sessions. The budget defense session has been ongoing until now, and it seems to be a continuation because as it is now, the 2025 budget has not been approved. It looks like we have left the law that we set aside, that we are the budget presentation supposed to be from January to December. So by December, we are supposed to have a new budget for the next year, so that by January, the new budget for the new year would have been running. Doc, it looks like we have left that precedent. It's like we have left that convention. What could be responsible? This is just the second budget that this current administration will be sharing and channeling. What makes you think we have that sort of inefficiency?
Well, I think it's a case of narrow fiddling while Rome burns. And then, of course, you come around and look for somebody else who can take the blame for what is not being done right. I didn't expect that National Assembly even had to go on recess because of the expediency of these things. So remember, the last administration struggled to see how we can actually have a budget section that ran from January to December.
Yes.
And in that case, you're able to actually plan your things out. We just have succeeded in extending the lifespan of 2024 budget. Deep into 2025. And therefore, it provides us an opportunity to rest. And I think it's abnormal that people who, of course, have the nation at heart should have spent a lot of their energy, because there's nothing to holiday about when there's so much to be done to ensure that the economy is running right. This carryover creates rooms for the ability, even for people who are supposed to be giving account for things that they are going to do, are not able to give account. 2023 budget has not been tidied. 2024 now is running into deep 2025. Now, and you are expecting that, for example, the Public Account Committee of the National Assembly want to do oversight. And as we speak, they are still considering data of what was expended in 2021. That's quite very unwholesome. And if for people that are serious, Nigeria should be run like an enterprise. And what that means for me is that people should be able to see, oh, last year this is what we did. And then that help us to generate conversation around the next year's budget. So as it is now, which means even in preparing 2026 budget, we will not even be factoring in what happened in 2024 because the budget is still running. And the errors and the mistakes that happened in 2024 cannot be corrected in 2026. And this is the challenge that the nation has faced over time, where, of course, accountability and transparency became the bane of African development. And I think these are issues that those who have offered themselves to serve the nation should do it at some minimal level of inconvenience. After all, they take inconvenience allowance. So I think that we should be able to bear some inconveniences in serving the nation. This is the 27th day of the month of January. And we're just talking about resuming from a recess.
Budget defense.
No, I don't think it's worth the while. There was only one public holiday, and that was on the 1st. One would have expected that from 2nd to now, the National Assembly would have tidied up with the entire budget proceeding. 1 month is enough. And then, of course, it's assented, and then the project can start to run.
Okay, I think... you took the word out of my mouth.
Let me direct this to you, Blessing. Sorry. I realize that in Nigeria, the private sector, most of the time, when it comes to the new year or when they're expecting the new budget from the executive arm of government, they don't just jump into work. They wait. Most businesses, most multinationals, including the MDAs, in fact, as we speak, the MDAs, ministries, departments, and agencies, in their spending and their interest for 2025, I wonder what they are doing. So by virtue of this, do you think that these multinationals, both private and public sector, will just be folding their hands and waiting for the government to pass? Or what do you think they are surviving on?
Well, Doug just talked about the 2024 budget still running into the year 2025. Now, what I was trying to say there when I said Doug took the word out of my mouth when he said we should behave like serious people, I wanted to ask the question: are we as serious people, or and some of the ministries, departments, and agencies, and even the National Assembly, do we have serious people in that? Because it seemed like people can do whatever they like, run at their own pace, at the expense of the development of the country. This goes two ways. It's a two-way traffic. The delay has been caused by the ministries, departments, and agencies. There's also been caused by the National Assembly. Because I recall that on those tables we talked about the National Assembly saying that ministries, departments, and agencies that do not come for defense would not get appropriation. So it's a two-way delay. And I think that while the National Assembly took time to rest, take a break, they are honorable members now. So a lot of perks go with that office. They do what they like. So it's as if, oh, we've been busy all year round. So when we're done resting, we can now come. And now you want to rush up everybody, you know. So if you're talking about giving adequate consideration to the bills, I don't even think that will really happen, because now they're pressed for time. So certain MDA's budget may just be overlooked because they are also considering time. 4th of February is just next week here. So to your question about the multinationals, what would they be doing? You think, I think that the essence of the budget is not clearly understood yet in Nigeria. That's why we're not even following the regular cycle. That's why a previous year budget can be running into a new year, and it will take a lot of time before the budget is then passed and implemented. For the NDAs, what do you want them to run with? Even though there's still some provision from the 2024 budget, but yes, they want to wait to know what is coming and what project to take on. And there's also the factor of, hey, we don't know if we'll have money, so the one that we have, let's manage. So for the multinationals, some of them will find other ways of doing things. Some will still have to wait. That's why you find that certain projects that are at the start of the year that were earmarked to be done will also have delays, because all of this will have some implications. After passage of the budget, for the time it will take for the MDAs to even get their allocation, we've not even talked about that. So at what time do they start disbursing to the project? And maybe some other businesses that are waiting for projects to kick off, for them to also start their work, because contracts will be awarded to some businesses. So it's, at the end of the day, it's a delay to the economy until we understand that and begin to act like we do. Then I don't think we're ready to have full benefit of every fiscal plan that we make yearly.
I know that a lot of people want to wait for the budget so that they can understand what's the economic direction of government in a particular fiscal year. And I think from the medium frame economic
medium-term expenditure framework.
Yes, framework that has been set by the government, it's clear what direction that regime is chasing after. And to that extent, those private institutions that have things to do with government can at least think about some certain things that they are going to do. So for the private sector, it may not be a big deal. Even for the MDAs, it may not also be a big deal, because there's also a constitutional provision that enable the MDAs to spend up to about 60 or 70% of the previous year's budget while they are waiting for the sign-on of the budget.
Of the new budget.
You see, but for things to be tidy is actually where my worries are, that once we execute on time, we are able to actually report our activities and operations for the year. I'm actually worried much about the audit, because the postmortem kind of audit that we're doing, always exposed to after the fact,
yes,
cannot help in preparing the budget for the next season. So tidying up that environment is a huge responsibility. And for people who already all know their onions, and I think the delay really was federal government trying to see how to redesign the expenditure framework, because the one they have been using, they used in 2023, 2024, was inherited from the previous administration. And so they need to also set their own. And I think that was what accounted for the delay in presentation, because last year's budget was presented in good time. And even its passage came somewhat in good time. But for me, it's just these people who are coming back to work 27 days to the end of the first month, and I don't think it's something we should celebrate.
Okay,
people should be up and working, and if we're serving a nation and we know that we are actually sitting on the keg of a gunpowder, it is important and imperative for those who are the helms, especially the lawmakers, to see that there's a national emergency, deal with it first, then you go and rest. Your city cannot be burning, and then you're on recess. And that does not help anybody.
Right.
We have about 900 agencies, over 900 agencies in Nigeria. And if 2 or 3 of them are not coming, the ones that are ready should be dealt with. And then, of course, those who are not coming, then they can be sanctioned appropriately. So, and I don't think that should be a reason why they should themselves have to relax and say, oh, we want to go take some naps. Then we come back and then the year is running.
Sincerely, I don't think they did anything wrong, because at the beginning of this year, they've already started their budget defense session and they were on ground.